Hi, this is the read aloud for Chapter 3, Lesson 1. This is actually the introduction to the chapter I'm starting out with, and then I'll go into Lesson 1. On page 90, how do moving plates change Earth's crust? You may think that Earth's crust is one huge solid piece. In fact, Earth's surface is broken into several pieces, like a cracked eggshell. One of the cracks runs along the middle of this lake in Iceland. I don't have the untamed video for you. I apologize, but those are always fun to watch. We are going to talk about plate tectonics. Underneath our continents are plates, and they which move our continents slightly every year. In this chapter, we're going to talk about mid and sub. Mid is at or near the middle, your midsection. Sub is below, beneath, or under. Think of a submarine. We're going to talk about a mid-ocean ridge. Is a chain of mountains that runs along the middle of the ocean floor. And subduction is a process by which part of the Earth's crust sinks downward. Here's some vocab. A continent is a large landmass. A boundary is the point or line where one region ends and another begins. The crust is the outer layer of Earth. So Marina took a train from Oregon to Georgia. The train rode across the entire continent of North America. It rode up and down the Rocky Mountains, which form a boundary between America's east and west. The conductor said these mountains are part of Earth's crust. It's just a little example of some vocab for you. Page 93 breaks down continental drift. So these are our continents, and underneath our continents are plates that shift and move. When we are done with this chapter, I'm going to suggest or see if I could upload the link so that you guys can watch San Andreas. And a mid-ocean ridge, subduction, it goes beneath or below, and then plate tectonics. So we're going to learn a little bit about all of that. Drifting Continents Lesson 1 on page 94. You may read along in your book if you'd like. A puzzled look. Scientists have long noticed that Earth's continents look as though they could fit together like pieces of a jigsaw puzzle. This was an idea that Alfred Wegener suggested in 1910. Doesn't the east coast of South America fit exactly against the west coast of Africa? As if they were once joined, he asked. This is an idea I'll have to pursue. So, thanks to Wegener's hypothesis about the continents, we have learned about plate tectonics. Have you ever looked at a world map and noticed how coastal lines of Africa and South America seem to match up? We will look at that on the next page. For many years, scientists have made this same observation. In 1910, a German scientist named Alfred Wegener became curious about why some continents look as though they could fit together. Page 95. According to Wegener, the continents of Earth moved. Wegener's hypothesis was that all continents were once joined together in a single landmass and since drifted apart. Wegener's idea that the continents slowly moved over Earth's surface became known as continental drift. According to Wegener, the continents were joined together in a supercontinent or single landmass about 300 million years ago. They called that supercontinent Pangaea. So all of these different continents were squeezed together. They were one single landmass. But as you can see, they kind of fit in together over here. If you could in your book, connect 1 to the letter where it fits. So 1 would go to B. 2 matches with A. You can draw the lines or you can connect them over here. I just want you to see that they all kind of fit together just perfectly. This little piece drifted out from right there. Over tens of millions of years, Pangaea began to break apart. The pieces of Pangaea slowly moved to their present locations, shown in Figure 1. These pieces became the continents as formed today. In 1915, Wegener published his evidence for continental drift in a book called The Origin of Continents and Oceans. Pangea means all lands in Greek, which is why it's suitable name for supercontinent. Evidence from land features. Land features on the continent provide Wegener with evidence for his hypothesis. On the next page, figure 2, shows some of this evidence. For example, Wegener pieced together maps of Africa and South America. He noticed that mountain ranges of the continents, they also lined up. He noticed that the coal fields in Europe and North America also matched. Page 96. Evidence from fossils is also important. So he had land features, and now he's having fossil evidence. These are probably going to be quiz questions, just so you know. Wegener also used fossils to support his hypothesis for continental drift. A fossil is any trace of an ancient organism that has been preserved in rock. Examples were the Glossopteris, which is a fern-like plant that lived 250 million years ago. The Glossopteris fossils have been found in Africa, South America, Australia, India, and Antarctica, shown in figure 2. So this is Pangea. Everything was stuck together. Over time, they separated and moved apart. So you can still see that this is Africa and it's here. This is Eurasia, which is Europe and Asia forming. So pretty cool. Other examples include fossils of the freshwater reptiles, the Mesosaurus and the Lystrosaurus. These fossils have been found in places now separated by oceans. So possibly the same fossils were found here, which are now separated to North America and Europe, Asia. Neither reptile could have swam across great distances of salt water. Wegener inferred, so he made an educated guess, that these reptiles lived on a single landmass that had since split apart. We can label these if you would like of what you think they are currently. Africa, Australia, South America, North America. Pretty cool stuff. Take some time and look at the maps and the pictures of what fossils were found that they matched up. 97, evidence from climate. So land features, fossils, and now climate. Wegener used evidence of climate change to support his hypothesis. As continents move towards the equator, its climate got warmer. As the continents move towards the poles, the climate gets colder. We know that. In either case, the continent carries along with it the fossils and rocks that formed at all of its previous locations. For example, fossils of tropical plants are found in Spitsbergen, an island in the Arctic Ocean. It's freezing there. We would not have tropic plants there. When these plants lived about 300 million years ago, the island must have had a warm, mild climate, probably close to the equator. Wegener said the climate changed because the island moved. Wegener's hypothesis was rejected. Wegener attempted to explain his continental drift took place. He suggested that the continents plowed across the ocean floors, but Wegener could not provide a satisfactory explanation for the force that pushes or pulls the continent. So they could not understand what he was talking about, how that they can move. Because Wegener could not identify the cause of the continental drift, most geologists of his time rejected his ideas. Now we know that there's plates underneath, and the continents sit on top of those. I always explain it as pretend that you have a table, two tables joined together, and if you put a plate on top of that crease where they join, so you have two tables and then a plate on top. If you slowly move these tables, that plate might fall down, or choose one side and move away with the other table. So those are just examples of how the plates have moved. And that is the end for